I've represented thousands of people in claims for Social Security disability benefits. And the one thing they all have in common is that they're nervous and anxious about their upcoming hearing. Now, I think this comes from their perception of what court is, where there's an opposing lawyer asking questions, trying to show people as a liar or disprove something. Well, the nice thing about Social Security is that it is non-adversarial. What does that mean? There's no opposing side. The people who are going to be in the hearing room are you, your lawyer, a judge, someone making an audio recording of everything that's said, a vocational witness, and a medical expert. None of those people are against you. Their role is simply to listen to you about what conditions prevent you from being able to keep a job and make a determination as to whether or not you meet the definition of disability for purposes of Social Security. No one in that room is against you. There's nothing for you to be nervous about. There's nothing for you to be anxious about. Your job is simply to talk. More specifically, it's to talk about your medical conditions, the symptoms that you suffer from those medical conditions, and the limitations that those symptoms cause you. Talk about them in the context of your real everyday life. This is no different than walking into a coffee shop on a Sunday morning, meeting someone new, and having a conversation about your life. Now, some people get nervous and anxious that they're going to forget things. Say they have a hard time lifting, standing, walking, and bending. They're worried that when they're asked, what limitations do you have associated with your back problem, they're only going to say lifting and standing, and they're going to forget walking and bending. Well, that's why you have us. If that happens, we'll say, do you have problems walking? Do you have problems bending? Our job is to help remind you of the things that support your claim for disability benefits. Now, to help you feel more comfortable with this process, we've put together a mock hearing for you to watch. So you'll know who will be there, you'll know what they're going to say, and you'll know what this looks like. Let's have a look.
Thank you. All right, good morning. I'm Judge Matthew Coveney. We're here to conduct a hearing on James Hensel's Title 16 benefits claim. Mr. Hensel, this is an informal proceeding about your Social Security disability case. I am here to ask questions of you and the vocational expert, and I'm going to allow your representative to do the same. Based on the testimony today and the evidence in your file, I'm going to make an independent decision. I'm not bound by any former decision on the claim. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, with us here today is also Pamela Kuhn. She's a vocational expert. She'll be giving testimony about jobs in the national economy. Would the witnesses please raise their right hands? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Yes.
Counsel, would you please state your name for the record?
Christopher O'Connor.
Okay, counsel, and have you discussed the issues of this case with the claimant?
I have.
Okay, do you waive further reading of the issues?
I do.
Okay, have you had a chance to review the case file?
I have.
Okay, do you have any objections to the exhibits in the file?
I don't.
Okay. Mr. Hensel, I'm going to go ahead and ask you a few questions about your background, your work history, and your disabilities. Now, can you please state your name, social security number, and date of birth for the record?
My name is Jim Hensel. I was born June 6th, 1965, and my social security number is 111111111.
Okay, Mr. Hensel, and how old are you?
47.
Okay, can you detail your work history for the last 15 years?
Before I got sick and I couldn't work, I was a bartender for my whole life.
Okay, Mr. Hensel, and why can't you work now?
I hurt and I feel sad.
Okay, do you have any trouble sitting, standing, or walking?
Yes.
Okay. I see here at Exhibit 3E that you actually say you walk your dog every day. Do you do that?
Yes.
All right, counsel, you may inquire.
Thank you. Now, you said you've been a bartender your whole life, correct?
That's right.
As a bartender, how many hours were you on your feet in a typical day?
8 hours, sometimes more.
And what do you do as a bartender?
I serve drinks.
You also have to lift things up, don't you?
Yes, I lift cases of liquor and beer, boxes of food.
And how much do those things weigh?
I don't know.
Is it fair to say that they weigh 50 pounds or more?
Yeah.
All right. Now, you said you have pain. Do you have pain in your lower back?
Yes.
And how often do you have pain in your lower back?
All the time.
The pain in your lower back that you experience all the time, is it a sharp pain or a dull pain?
Normally it's dull, but when I move around, it's sharp.
Now, using a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being almost no pain at all and 10 being unbearable pain, what's the average level of pain that you experience during the course of a day?
7.
What, if any, activities make your back pain worse?
Everything I do.
Counsel, try not to lead the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. How long does standing and walking make your back pain worse?
Yes.
How long can you walk or stand before your back pain starts to get worse?
I don't know.
Is it more or less than 30 minutes?
Less.
Okay. And when you stand for less than 30 minutes, what happens?
I have to sit down and rest for at least 15 to 20 minutes.
Now, Judge Coveney was kind enough to ask you a question about your dog walking. Do you walk your dog?
Yes.
While we were in the lobby, we were talking about this, and you were telling me how hard it was for you to walk your dog. Can you tell the judge why it's so hard for you to walk your dog?
Mr. O'Connor, I told you to stop leading the witness.
Your Honor, simply helping the witness remember specific details that may better illustrate his limitations and help you make a fair decision on his case.
Okay.
So let me re-ask the question. You told me in the lobby about problems you had walking your dog. Can you explain those problems to Judge Coveney?
Right. Well, I try to walk my dog every day, but I can only make it about 100 feet before I have to stop and rest. Then, after a little while, I start again. Every time I start and stop again, I go a little bit further, and I have to stop because my back pain is so bad. Finally, when I get home, I'm in so much pain, I have to take a pill and lie down. I do it because I have to. I love my little dog, but it's getting harder every day.
You also said you were sad. Has any doctor diagnosed you with depression?
Yes.
And what are the symptoms that you associate with your depression?
I told you, I feel sad.
Let me ask you this. Do you have a hard time following television programs?
Yeah, I almost never watch TV anymore because I can't follow the story.
And do you have a hard time completing tasks?
I don't know what you mean.
Again, before the hearing, we were talking, and you indicated to me that you get distracted from something that you're doing. If you get distracted from something that you're doing, you often don't get back to the thing that you were originally doing. Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, yesterday I went to get the mail and my neighbor started talking to me. When we finished, I walked back in the house and totally forgot about the mail.
Counselor, again, please stop leading the witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Hensel, can you go back to doing your former work as a bartender?
No, I can't stand long enough and I can't lift.
Mr. Hensel, can you do any other kinds of work?
No, I can only walk short distances. I can only stand for a little bit of time. I can only sit for 30 minutes before I have to get up and move around. I can't concentrate, I can't focus, and I can't remember things.
Do you have good days and bad days?
Yeah.
Tell me what a good day looks like for you.
When I wake up, my pain's not so bad. I have a little bit of energy. On good days, I try to do some chores around the house. I try and play with my dog. I'm always hurting by the end of the day, but I try.
And what's a bad day look like?
I can barely move. I have no energy at all. I either just lay in bed or on the couch.
In an average week, how many bad days do you have?
On average, 2 to 3 bad days.
Nothing else, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Kuhn, do you remember you're still under oath?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connor, do you stipulate to Ms. Kuhn's qualifications as an expert witness in this case?
I don't, to the extent that I expect that she's going to be asked to provide numbers regarding particular jobs in the local, regional, or national economy. I've reviewed Ms. Kuhn's CV and background, and nothing there suggests that she's qualified to offer those types of opinions.
Okay. That objection is overruled. Ms. Kuhn, you've heard the claimant testify that he has worked as a bartender. How is that job performed according to the Dictionary of Occupational Titles?
Bartender is DOT code 312-474-010. It's a light job with an SVP of 3. However, as the claimant described it, specifically with the lifting of 50 pounds, it's actually performed at a medium exertional level.
Okay. All right, Ms. Kuhn, assume someone of the claimant's age, education, and past work experience. Assume further that that person has the ability to stand and walk for 6 out of 8 hours in a workday and can lift 10 pounds frequently and 20 pounds occasionally. Assume further that this claimant would need a sit-stand option. Is that claimant capable of performing their past relevant work?
No, not as it was performed.
Okay. Assuming the same hypothetical question, are there jobs in the national economy that such a claimant would be capable of performing?
Yeah, based on the hypothetical, he could perform the job of silverware wrapper, And that job is light with an SVP of 1, and that means it's an unskilled job. There are 5,000 of those jobs in the local economy and 250,000 nationally.
Okay, thank you. Counselor, you may inquire.
Ms. Kuhn, I want you to assume the same facts in Judge Coveney's first hypothetical question. However, I want you to assume further that the claimant can only walk for 2 hours out of an 8-hour day, and assume further that because of depression he would be off task 25% of a workday. Are there jobs in the local or national economy that he could sustain?
No, there aren't.
Okay. Ms. Kuhn, do you work full-time as a vocational rehabilitation specialist?
Yes, I do.
And what percentage of your time working as a vocational rehabilitation specialist is devoted to conducting labor market surveys that involve the actual counting of jobs?
None of it is.
In your career, have you ever conducted any research or labor market surveys that involve the actual counting of jobs on a local, regional, or national level?
No, I haven't.
What is the DOT code for silverware wrapper?
It is 318.687-108.
And just so I have it right, that's 318.687-108, correct?
That's right.
Is the job silverware wrapper that you've identified in response to Judge Coveney's first hypothetical performed consistently with the description of that job in the Dictionary of Occupational Titles?
Yes.
Okay. Can you explain to me the methodology and process that you use to reach your conclusion that there are 5,000 of these jobs locally and 250,000 of them nationally?
Sure. I used a computer program. I relied on this book, and I relied on my training, education, and experience.
Great. Which computer program are you using?
It's called SkillTran.
All right, just so I understand what you did, you inputted the job of silverware wrapper into your computer, and it told you how many jobs exist locally and nationally, correct?
That's right.
What is the methodology and process that SkillTran used to allow this computer program to tell you that there are 5,000 of these jobs locally and 250,000 nationally?
No idea. It's not my program. I didn't create it. It's just a tool that experts in my field use.
How does SkillTran compile and analyze the data in order to come to these conclusions?
Again, like I said before, I didn't create the program. I just use it as an expert.
All right. You also said you rely on a book, is that right?
That's right.
What's the name of the book?
It's called Jobs Data from the Census.
Jobs Data from the Census?
Correct.
Okay. What year was it published?
It was published in 1990.
Great. What section or page numbers are you referring to base your testimony that there are 5,000 of these jobs in Massachusetts and 250,000 nationally?
That would be section 201.12, and it's at page 567.
All right, just so I have it right, it's section 201.12, page 567, is that right?
That's right.
All right. Explain to me the process or methodology used by the authors of this book in determining the number of jobs available regionally or nationally.
All right, Mr. O'Connor, I'm not doing this all day. I'm not going to let you ask these questions if I have other hearings.
Just so I'm clear and that the record is clear, should this case need to be reviewed by either the Appeals Council or Federal District Court, you're not going to allow me to examine this witness regarding the methodology used for this book that she's relying on to formulate her opinions regarding the number of jobs locally and nationally. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm going to object to this witness's testimony in its entirety based on your failure to allow me to effectively cross-examine the witness regarding the veracity of her opinions here today.
Okay, that objection's overruled.
Do you have the book with you today?
Yes, I have it right here.
And can I have copies of the pages and sections that you indicate support your conclusions regarding the number of jobs locally and nationally?
No, you cannot have a copy of that book. If you want the book, you can go buy it yourself.
Okay. Your Honor, based upon your refusal to allow me access to the materials that this witness used as part of the foundation of her testimony, I'd ask that her entire testimony be stricken. And I object generally to anything that she said here today.
Okay, that objection's overruled.
All right. Now, Ms. Kuhn, you indicated you also relied on your training, education, and experience when you came to this conclusion regarding the number of jobs locally and nationally. Is that right?
That's right.
And have you conducted any independent studies or labor market surveys as to the number of silverware wrappers that exist in this state or in the country?
No, I haven't.
Have you seen any research materials or labor market surveys regarding the number of silverware wrappers regionally or nationally?
No, I haven't.
How many different employers in this state employ these 5,000 silverware wrappers?
Several. I don't know the exact number.
Okay. In your career, have you had occasion to go out and count the number of silverware wrappers in this state?
No, I haven't gone out to count them.
All right. Have you ever seen the job performed during your career?
Sure, I've seen it performed.
And is seeing the job actually performed in the field part of the foundation of your testimony here today?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Please identify the employers where you've actually seen this job performed.
I'm sorry, I can't give you the names of the employers. That's proprietary information.
Your Honor, I'd ask that you instruct the witness to answer the question regarding the locations where she's seen these jobs performed.
No, I'm not going to do that. I'm about done with this line of questioning, so move along, wrap it up.
All right. Your Honor, I want to object again and ask that Ms. Kuhn's testimony be stricken from the record on the grounds that I've not been afforded the opportunity to verify information that's part of the foundation of her testimony here today.
I'm going to overrule that objection again.
Great. Now, Ms. Kuhn, of these 5,000 jobs locally that you've identified, how many of them are part-time?
25% of them are part-time.
And can you explain to me your process and methodology in coming to the conclusion that 25% of these jobs are part-time?
Well, I'm an expert, and it's my expert opinion.
Is it your best guess?
It's my opinion.
And your opinion is based solely on your experience, correct?
I guess you could say that, yes.
All right. And given that, is it fair to say that it is your best guess given your experience?
I suppose you could say that.
All right. Now, given the limitations stated in Judge Coveney's hypothetical question, in particular the sit-stand option, is it fair to say that the claimant is capable of less than a full range of light work?
Yes, that's fair.
And the job you've identified is a light job, right?
That's right.
Would you agree with me that in order for a claimant with a less than light RFC, an employer would need to make a reasonable accommodation for them to be able to perform that job?
Yes, that's true.
Now, going back to these 5,000 jobs that you've identified locally, how many are with employers who would afford someone the reasonable accommodation to perform the job, assuming they have the RFC of the claimant?
Almost all of them, actually, about 90%.
And can you explain to us again what your methodology and process is to come to the conclusion that 90% of these employers would afford an employee a reasonable accommodation?
All right, counsel, you've taken up enough time. We're done with this.
Okay, Your Honor. If I could, so that the record's clear and should the need arise for this case to be reviewed. At an appellate level, I just want to state for the record that you've cut me off and refused me the opportunity to continue cross-examining this witness. In addition, I'd like to make an offer of proof that had you allowed me to continue questioning this witness, that I would have inquired further regarding her methodology, process, and practice, and the expected testimony would be that she didn't have any.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have no more questions. However, I would ask that you allow the record to remain open for 30 days after the hearing so that I may file a post-hearing brief addressing specifically issues raised by the vocational testimony.
I'll allow it.
As you saw, this is an informal, non-adversarial proceeding where you're simply answering questions about your life, more specifically about your medical conditions and the limitations that they cause you. If you do your part and we do our part, we can win your case.